tell where you are so I can read it?
Oh yeah, so I'm starting here on page 257. If you have a book here. Okay, so now I want to take you through a fast forward for about. We're fast forwarding through about 6 years, a couple hundred pages. Those of us who are hanging out with Shlomo and becoming his students, we start a house, the House of Love and Prayer. We go through the 60s. Thousands of people go through our doors, young people mostly, in our 20s. Jews, Catholics, Protestants, Buddhists, Sufis, you name it. Thousands of people come through our doors. Shlomo had, when he first came up with the idea of a House of Love and Prayer, it was on Haight Street. And so we asked him, what's a House of Love and Prayer? And we were expecting him to quote something from the Torah and, you know, rabbis and so on. And what he said was, a house of love and prayer is, when you walk in, someone loves you. When you walk out, someone misses you. So that became kind of our marching orders for 4 years. That's what we were there to do, was to organize and run that house. We didn't know anything, but we kind of learned on the job. So now, the 60s have come, it's now the 70s. There's still that idealism. Those of you who, were sharing earlier about your spiritual paths, there's still that idealism in the early 70s, right? We still feel that there's something in the air, there's that vision that we're all one. So, we had many holy teachers in San Francisco in those days. There was Yogi Bhajan, there was Swami Bhaktivedanta, there was Swami Satchidananda, there were all of these people. And many of us, my age, were kind of running their houses or communities for them. So I got together with my friends, the yogis and the Sufis and the Christians, and said, why don't we have a big concert? And we'll invite all our teachers there. And so we did, and we managed to rent a Masonic auditorium downtown San Francisco, 3,162 seats. And we sold 3,162 tickets. And everybody, and their teachers, we were all there together. It was an amazing, amazing day. It was in February of 1972. So I don't have time to read about the whole thing, but Shlomo was the last, he was the last act of this concert. Shlomo, standing alone on stage in the huge darkened hall, is the last act of the Meeting of the Ways concert. Masonic Auditorium has a large round stage that juts out into the audience, is surrounded by 3,165 seats arranged in concentric semicircles. The hall is filled with row after row, wave after wave, of people wearing the outfits of their various spiritual tribes, some in orange robes, some in turbans, some with large gold crosses, some with hippie kippas, all different varieties of colorful attire. The concert began with a song that I wrote. We all sang the final 2 lines with great feeling. Nothing can stop us when we are together. Nothing can stop us when we are together. Peace in the world when we are together. Peace in the world when we are together. I stand below the stage, holding my guitar, looking up at Shlomo, wondering how he will pull it all together. He grabs the mic and speaks softly. Shalom, shalom, my darling friends, he says. The highest, sweetest peace to you, to me, to all of us here in the room, to all of our brothers and sisters all over the world. You know, my sweetest friends, it's such a privilege to be here on the same stage with so many holy teachers. He turns to the front row and to nod to some of his colleagues, Yogi Bhajan, Swami Sachidananda, and others. Shlomo begins strumming his guitar and singing his words, passionately, in tune with the chords. That's how he would do it. So what I'm saying, he would actually be singing with his guitar chords. Everybody knows, everybody knows, everybody knows, he sings, that when the great day is coming, the great day of love and peace, when the great day is at hand, that heaven is sending us holy teachers and messengers to show us the way. He stops strumming and looks out over the audience. The whole room is silent. But what are you and I supposed to do? He says, in a near whisper that all 3,000 of us can hear. How can ordinary people fulfill the words of our holy teachers and bring the great day? It's an awesome responsibility, right? He strums his guitar again. My sweetest friends, my sweetest friends, my sweetest friends, he sings. Please listen from the depths of your heart. In ancient days, a long time ago, a long, long time ago, in Jerusalem, the holy city, we would come to the holy temple and we would bring gifts, the best produce of our land, the best of our fields, the best of our olive trees, the best of our vineyards, the best of our herds. We would bring gifts as an offering to God. Everyone would bring gifts according to the abundance that God had blessed them with on their own land. But one time a year, one special and holy time, we brought something different. On the holiday of Sukkot, the time of the harvests from our land, strange as it seems, we would bring water. We brought pure water from the deepest well in Jerusalem, and we would carry the buckets up to the altar of the holy temple and turn over the buckets and pour the water over the holy stones. He stops strumming and talks again. You see, my darling friends, every field is different. Maybe you grow grapes and I grow olives, right? So we can each bring what we can according to our tribe, our land, the fruits of our labors. But water is a gift from heaven. It has nothing to do with the land where I live, or what my tribe is, or who I am, or what I do. It falls the same for rich and poor, the same for every Christian and every Jew, for every Hindu and every Buddhist and every Muslim, for every person in the world. So what does this mean? There are times for coming to God's house with gifts from my land. And there are other times where God wants us to reach beyond all that, to reach all the way to heaven for the water that heaven is sending straight to all of us, the gift of pure water. I look out at the audience. People are leaning forward. All eyes are on Shlomo. Some are smiling and nodding. Shlomo starts strumming intensely. His voice gets high. Can you imagine the holy temple on Sukkot? Can you imagine every person with their bucket in their hands? The greatest landowner, the humblest little beggar, waiting to pour their water over the holy stones. Can you imagine the joy? Can you imagine the joy? Can you imagine the joy? So how did people express their joy? It's written in the Talmud, according to our rabbis and our teachers almost 2,000 years ago, that while the holy musicians were playing on their harps and trumpets and singing, while the Levim, the musicians, were making such beautiful music, people got up and danced. Shlomo's strumming gets more quiet now, his voice softer. Do you know how deep this is, my darling friends? Is it easier for people to see me if I stand? It's okay?
You're fine.
Okay. Please open your hearts. Open your hearts. Open your hearts. Because everybody knows that what we do with our hands, what we do in this world by serving God, by serving another person, is very holy and beautiful. But it's only half the story. Because if we want to lift ourselves up to heaven, if we want to lift the whole world up to heaven, we can only get there by dancing on our feet. Suddenly, before anyone knows where he's taking us, Shlomo shifts to a fast song. That's our cue. Those of us standing by with our instruments rush up to join Shlomo on stage. He starts jumping up and down as he sings. "Please join me, my friends," he says over the chorus of his song. "Let's lift the whole world up to heaven." Within 3 seconds, 3,000 people are on their feet, dancing in the aisles. The thunder of their feet striking the floor echoes with the notes of the music through Masonic auditorium. The energy of the crowd, of all of us, seems endless. People jump up onto the stage, dance there for a while, then jump back down again to make room for other people to jump up. The singing and dancing go on and on and on. As I'm standing on the stage behind Shlomo, strumming my guitar, keeping up with his chords and his rhythm, looking at the waves of people dancing in front of us, my chest is shaking and tears are pouring out of my eyes. This must be what it's like. This must be what it's really like on the great day when the whole world is together. When it's finally time to bring the show to a close, Shlomo asks everyone in the room to please come close. "Please come close as you can," he says, "because to bring the great day of love and peace to the world, we have to start by being close to each other." He especially invites Yogi Bhajan and Swami Sachidananda and the other teachers in the front row to walk up onto the stage, to stand close to him. Soon Shlomo is surrounded by the other teachers, and they're surrounded on the round stage by circles of people holding on to each other, and the round stage is surrounded by countless circles of more people holding on to each other. And that's what this photo is. It's of that moment. As I write these words many years later, remember this is in 72, as I write these words many years later, the world will be a very different place. But in February of 1972, in Masonic Auditorium, how could we not believe that we're at the dawn of a new age? Intolerance and hatred among peoples will become a thing of the past. The idea that people would fight and kill each other over religion will be unthinkable to our grandchildren. All of us here are the messengers. It's up to us to bring the message back to our tribes, and through the tribes, to reach out to people all over the world, to practice love, compassion, understanding, and acceptance toward all. This is the highlight of all my memories of this time in my life. It is also the last concert that I will ever play with Shlomo. Shlomo's strumming softly on his guitar now and singing. A guy from one of the ashrams is standing next to him, accompanying him on the flute. I'm standing a few feet away, accompanying him on my guitar. A few other people are gently shaking tambourines. "I want to share something personal with you," Shlomo says, while his hands are still strumming, and the rest of us are still accompanying him. "Here's what occurred to me while I was listening to the inspired words of my friends and teachers with me here on stage." He looks around him and nods to the teachers wearing the turbans. "Some of you said that while we may be on different paths, the paths are all going to the same place." He stops playing. He says, "I respectfully disagree." Then he says nothing. Everyone's silent. People still with their arms around each other, swaying. Then he sings, "If I may be so bold to say so, in my humble opinion, we're all on the same path. We're all on the same path. We're all on the same path." I can see the arms of people around us pulling each other closer, eyes closing, savoring the closeness as we sway back and forth. "The only thing is," he says, "that for now, while we are walking, just for a little while longer, we're just wearing different shoes." As the 3,000 of us in that room stand there with our arms around each other, this infinite moment stretches all the way to the end of time.